Hi, everyone, and welcome to the new episode of the Tiny Brains podcast. I'm Kevin Joyce, CEO at Tiny Brains, and with me is Peter Graham, the Brigadier of Brains at Tiny Brains. Say hello, Peter.
Hello.
So, as we do every week on this podcast, we're going to take a look at the top stories in XR from the previous week and talk about them. And if you have any opinions on these stories, please do feel free to reach out to us and let us know your thoughts. And also, if you yourself have any stories you'd like to be featured in this podcast, please do let us know. We're more than happy to talk about whatever it is that's important to you. But we're going to kick off with something a bit different this week. Old Mr. Luckey, who we both myself and Pete have met on several occasions, and he was a nice enough guy back in the day, OG VR. But there was some rumblings about the way in which he left the VR scene, and it's come to the surface again. Do you want to tell us more about this, Pete?
Well, this feels like it's some sort of episode out of trash TV, like Jersey Shore or The Only Way is Essex. So essentially, yes, Palmer back in sort of 2017 had political affiliations, which he let known. They weren't particularly happy about it, so Oculus let him go. And then in April this year, as we have said on this podcast, there was a little bit of an online furore between Andrew Bosworth, who is the current CTO at Meta and also head of the XR Labs at Meta as well, John Carmack, who also used to be part of Meta and was in there in the early days of Oculus, and Palmer Luckey. And there was a little bit of a public spat about what happened back then. And Boz was like, yeah, well, these whatever he said, I can't remember the exact wording that he used, but essentially this week he's apologized publicly on X again. He's gone, sorry, I'd been given misinformation, and I want to apologize to Palmer. And Palmer's responded saying he accepts his apologies. Now, this also ties in with MetaConnect as well, because as some of you may or may not know, Luckey was at Meta and actually demoed the Orion AR glasses. And he actually said as such online that it was weird being back on campus, somewhere that he knew probably very well. And he tried the Orion glasses and, he loves them. And it has given a lot of good feedback.
So basically, my takeaway from this, excuse me, is it's all rainbows and sunshine.
Well, seems to be, doesn't it?
So yeah, Palmer. Obviously we met several times, and I think you met him as well, Pete. And I welcome you back to the VR fold. It's been lonely without you, Palmer. And Boz, good on you for standing up and being the guy you should be, basically.
Yeah. He's taken the moral approach and apologized, and that's a very good thing and a very rare thing to see as well.
Yes, it's a bit of pill to swallow sometimes. So especially so publicly.
Exactly.
So yeah, everything seems happy and sunshine and rainbows. So yay, VR.
Well,
Moving on, something that's not happy and sunshine and rainbows. Yeah, I really like Microsoft products. Okay, but at the same time, I'm aware that they are idiots as a company. Okay, there's so many projects that they launch in a similar fashion to Google. So many projects that they launch and abandon far too early. And Nadella has come out publicly and said that they dropped Windows Phone too early, and they could have had a market share had they kept with it. And the next product on the chopping block is WMR.
yes, it's the old Windows mixed reality. Those headsets that we kind of fondly remember from back in 2017. Microsoft has said that the next update for Windows 11 is going to entirely drop support. So that means if you are still using one, then it's going to essentially get bricked by Windows next month. The update is coming not next month, this month, October. And it's the 24H2 version that's going to come out. So if you're a Windows mixed reality user, don't update, essentially.
Now, these headsets, in my opinion, so for the uninitiated here, the people who weren't in VR at the time, there was a range of headsets, maybe 5 or 6 different headsets that all supported the same ecosystem. and you could they were in the same kind of price region as a Rift, an Oculus Rift, the very first consumer version of the Oculus headset, and they were a bit better than an Oculus Rift, but not quite the level of a Vive at launch, at the Rift at launch, I must say. Obviously, once you got multiple sensors and whatever else, the Rift was better. But they were good. They were good quality headsets that did the job and have been supported for quite some time. And I still have multiple of these headsets myself. And yeah, I think they were worthwhile for people to invest in. And now they're dead.
The likelihood is that the most people who are going to get stung are those that own a HP Reverb G2. Now, these were the most recent. HP were one of the ones that actually stuck with the platform. You know, Acer, Asus, Samsung, Lenovo, they all dropped it, but HP stuck with it, and the Reverb G2 came out in 2020. So there's likely that there's going to be some people out there still using that headset because it was very good at the time. It was then closer to Valve Index. And yeah, they're like, that's now going to be dead in the water.
Now, again, I do like Microsoft products and I do like the WMR. It is old and it hasn't seen support, like genuine support, for quite some time. But, you know, every day when we close the door on a VR headset is a sad day. So, sorry, WMR users. Time to get closed. Moving on, we have this one's going to be contentious. XR Games. Now, this is something that I haven't really seen, but I have heard about. So, Pete, you want to fill us in on this one?
This has literally blown up last week, and it was a big talking point after quite a few employees started posting on LinkedIn saying they were being made redundant. And as it turns out, it seems that XR Games, a Leeds-based XR company that's famous for making Zombies, Headshot Fever, and an Angry Birds game, but way back in the day, have laid off are laying off 86% of their staff, 72 people, and they're literally keeping a skeleton crew of about 12. Now, nothing's been confirmed or publicly announced by XR Games just yet. This has all been through staff that have left, who have put things on social media. So, you know, we've got to wait for 100% confirmation, but essentially a huge chunk of XR Games has gone.
So XR Games have made a name for themselves doing licensed products. As you rightly said, they did Angry Birds, and as you incorrectly said, it was Zombieland.
Oh, what did I say?
Just zombies. But anyway, they have made licensed VR games, and some of them have been very successful. Some of them have been less successful. But this is a studio company that was founded purely on investment money. Okay, and they were riding it out for when the VR big time hits. The VR big time hasn't hit yet. We can all agree in that. Everyone in the VR space can agree that it's getting bigger progressively, but the big time's not here yet. We've still got to wait a little bit. And I don't think that they have the stamina to last until it arrives. I feel like many studios, they've fallen foul to expectations and reality not meeting their expectations. There's also the fact of Hitman, which recently launched, which is going to be an interesting conversation. So Hitman 3, Hitman 3 Reloaded, is that the official title?
Hitman 3 VR Reloaded for the full
Oh, there we go. Recently launched on MetaQuest and was not received well. Yes, there is some talk about fixing it. Do you think, Peter, that XR Games can fix this game with only 12 employees?
No, not at all. Especially if you consider what else they supposedly have in the pipeline. Like you said, their specialism has been big IPs. So IO Interactive gave them Hitman, and that has floundered. But also, last week, it was confirmed that their next game, which is going to come out on the 31st of October, is Starship Troopers Continuum. So only a few weeks to go for that. So well, let's see how that plays out, shall we? Additionally, there's another game coming as well. You might have heard of a little game called Zombie Army. Well, they're doing the VR version. The Rebellion have given them the reins for Zombie Army VR, which again is supposed to be coming out this year, 2024. Now, if they're going to fix Hitman, release Starship Troopers, and do Zombie Army VR with 12 people.
I have to imagine that there is no, and this is just my conjecture. So XR Games, the people that are still there, please do reach out to me if I'm wrong. This is my conjecture. I have to imagine that Hitman is not getting fixed, that Starship Troopers is already finished, and that the 12 people that are remaining are the 12 people who are essential to launching Zombie Army. That is my conjecture. Please tell me if I'm incorrect there. I would love to learn more about what's going on at XR Games, because XR Games is a company that we all know and we all love, and we don't want to see it go away. They are a big, powerful company, or have been a big, powerful company in the XR space. So please fix this. Make it right.
Oh, exactly. I think a lot of people have been looking forward to some of these titles coming out from them, and they are a good bunch. And you know, we want to see them succeed and continue on. We don't want to see them disappear into the wilderness, but we'll have to wait and see.
Oh, VR, you are a troubling mistress.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so we've got to wrap this up pretty quickly. We've got a couple more stories to go through. Firstly, Refurbished Quest freeze. Who doesn't want a cheaper Quest 3? Everyone outside America, apparently.
Yeah, good news, isn't it? So yeah, with the announcement of Quest 3S, Meta have now released refurbished Quest 3s, so you can actually pick up a refurbished Quest 3 128 gig model for $380 on Meta and on Amazon. If you're in the UK, you can still get hold of them via Amazon as well. Yes, I found listings.
I hadn't heard this.
£359 on Amazon for a refurbished Quest.
Boom, done. Give me 6.
Sold. And if you're in the US, if you want to buy the bigger 512 gigabyte model, $450. There you go. Bit of good news.
Do it. Love it. Yes. Yes, please. More. I would like refurbished Quest 3S, please.
Oh, right. Yeah. For that 250. Yeah.
Yeah. 250. Yes, please. Yes. Okay. And the last story we have, as we always do, we're going to end with a gaming story. And we're going to talk about the Midnight Walk.
This looks fantastic. And if you're a fan of all things sort of Tim Burton-esque, like The Nightmare Before Christmas, this will be right up your street because it's claymation. It's going to be as far as I'm aware, the first proper claymation VR game. It's going to be flat screen and VR, and it's been made by a company called Moonhood. Now, this will be their first proper game, but previously, in their previous iteration, the co-founders of Moonhood created Ghost Giant, and that was a lovely little game. I recommend going to find it and playing it if you can.
Now, this is being published by Fast Travel, if I'm not mistaken.
It is correct. That is correct, Kev.
Fast Travel have a very good reputation for their publishing as well as their own in-house development. So yeah, we're going to hope that big things are coming from this one. I do like a little bit of Tim Burton in my entertainment. How's Beetlejuice, Pete?
I haven't watched it yet.
The answer is it's really, really good. Yeah, a bit of Coraline, that kind of stuff. It's great. Love it. So I'm looking forward to this one, and I hope that you are too. Okay, so that's it for this week. Thank you very much for joining us. As I said at the start, if you have any stories you would like to be featured on this podcast, we will happily have a discussion about what is important to you in XR. So please feel free to reach out, and we'll see you again next week.